Hello and welcome to Homestead Imaginations. I am Josh, and today is I want to cover one of the lessons that I've learned the hard way that I hope you learn from me and don't do. And that is setting yourself up for a nightmare, essentially. Don't grow too fast. If you're trying to build a homestead or even just gardening or whatever it might be, take your time. Think it all the way through, start to finish. What would that need? What would that take to get it from start all the way to the end of whatever it is? Like whether it be, if it's gardens, all right, what do I need to get a garden started with its soil, protection, all the way until when you can harvest that, whatever it is, if it is a garden. Oh, we got a little chipmunk. Can't see it now, but it just hid right there in that hosta. Little chipmunk, that's probably what's been eating my strawberries. But let me show you what I'm talking about. So we started gardening, and we started small. We started with just that one garden there. Or was it this one? It may have been this one. I forget which one now. It was the first one. I believe this, yes. No. Yes, this is the first one. That's the second one. Not that it really matters, but we started with just this, a 10 by 10 garden. Then we went to that, and then we just kept expanding. Now I have this massive garden over here. I've got all these raised beds for the strawberries. I've got that started that's fully ready, growing crops, and then I've got all this space all the way going down to the other end that is got garden space for the future. Like it's set up, it's not built, like I'm not done getting it prepared and ready and getting the soil ready, but I just kept expanding. Then I went over to here, I put in an orchard, and then I put in plants in between the fruit trees, and I'm trying to build a food forest. And what I've done, I've created a giant mess, and as you can see, like, this is my mess. I got a cabinet for Christmas, and none of that stuff is in here at all. This all stuff needs to get organized. I need to tidy it up. That needs to go in there. That has not happened. Then we've got that for storage. I've literally got stuff everywhere. I've got weeds. Look at all the weeds all through the stones. This is stones. Not that you can really see that well because this is all covered in weeds. Here is just soil. But what I've done is I've just constantly focused on expanding and not focusing on creating something. Like, look at all the weeds in here. The weeds are growing into my garden, growing into my plants, taking away nutrients while also taking away sun for some that need it. These don't need the sun. But all this is a huge nightmare. And this has all been weeded. We weeded this all back in April, May, and it's already all back. Now, what I'm talking about and what I would need is to do this correctly. All right, you want a garden. What does a garden take? What do you need? First thing is soil. You need good soil, healthy soil. That's going to feed your plants. You need to feed your plants so that way they can feed you. It's a nice little system that you need to set up. Now, I did not do that. We just planted these gardens and then just kept expanding every year. And then now, I went off to the races and never came home. I am now trying to keep up on things. And then my goal this summer, if I get anything done besides just weeding, is to make my life simpler. Because I've done this, I've made my life a lot harder. And by doing this, not setting like weed fabric or just even ground coverage and like thick mulch to cover this up so that way the weeds stop growing here, I've created a nightmare. Like, this is so much work, and it's constant work. We spent a bunch of time weeding these two gardens alone. Like, this is a lot. And then, like, because we can't manage that, it's just gotten worse. Like, now our stones are covered in weeds and getting buried, and I've just got things everywhere, cages and nets and like everything. It's just, I've got everything everywhere. So I'm spending so much time, especially lately, like in the gardens trying to weed. Now those gardens were set up a lot better, at least for the garden space itself, right from the get-go. I put down compost, and then I wood chip to hopefully suppress the weeds, and that's going well. Like, weeds are still going to happen, but you got to make it so that way they're just not as frequent, so you can actually manage it. So when one pops up, you can just spend a half hour in the morning or half hour at night as sun's setting or sun's coming up, and just go weed real quick. You know, half hour a day, no problem. You need to be out in the garden anyway. You need to be looking at your plants. And then you go to this, like this area, that is just a complete nightmare, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. Like, I'm not going to waste time trying to weed this area again, because I already did it and it just grew right back, and I just don't have that time. It's non-value added, you know. In any kind of like business, it's if a business is smart, they look at their actions, they look at what they're doing, what their employees are doing, and like, are they performing actions that have no value added, meaning they don't accomplish much. And that's how I view these weeds. Yes, it is value added to a point where, like, you need to get your weeds out of there so your plants can thrive, they can do their thing and not get overturned or lose nutrients to the weeds. And like, cosmetically, it doesn't look great to have all these weeds everywhere, but it's something you constantly got to do, and it's just awful, and you're not getting it. Like, it doesn't help you really get a bigger harvest. If you let the weeds completely take over, then yes, it would. But like, to me, still, I feel like weeding is no value added. Now, it does have some value, but that's just how I look at it. It's hard for me to want to spend time when I got so many other things now that I need to do. The food forest area, all the rows have been basically overtaken because I didn't chip thick enough. And they've basically been overtaken by the grass, the weeds. And so I've created a giant mess, not just around the gardens, of just weeds taking over, making it hard for me to even see my plants. Now, especially in the food forest area, the weeds are taking over the areas, and it is going to impact my plants. So I have to get out there. I have to spend time doing that, but it's because I didn't do this correctly. Now, food forest would have been an impossible task to get that completely covered and mulched correctly and done well the first go around. Now, I could have bought more wood chips when I did do those and go a much thicker row, but money is, you know, we can only push our money so far and so thin. So I wasn't able to do that. I bought a wood chipper, and I've been trying to do that, but that takes time. I got to cut down dead trees that were on the property, which I got several that I need to cut down still. And then I got to then spend time chipping them. And then I got to spend time like wheelbarrowing them around and placing them in the areas I need. So there is a lot of work that goes into setting those up, but if that was all done, I wouldn't have the weed issue I'd have. I got to go through and mow, and then after I mow, I have to spend days weed whacking because the battery only lasts so long before it dies, and I got to charge it, and then I got to go back out and weed whack. So it takes me days to get it fully weed whacked. And then I got to do it all over in a week because the weeds grow fast, the grass grows fast. I'm mowing like once a week. So it's a lot of just trying to stay alive and maintain what I've got put in. So like this year, my goal is I need to go around here. I need to put weed fabric down and we're going to get like stones, kind of like what's here already. We're just going to get these kind of stones and just layer it on top of the weed fabric and just take away the possibility for weeds to really grow here. Yes, they'll grow in the stones if you let them, and especially if you let them take over. Like, yes, this is all stones, but we've got weeds, but it's because we haven't taken care of them and we've just let the weeds just keep growing. They're taking over. But once you get it down, it's not very hard to come out and just pull the few weeds that might grow. But geez, that chipmunk keeps scaring the crap out of me. I think you can see it now. It's right there, right in front of my finger. Let me see if I can zoom in. Hold still. Bad blue barrel. There we go. I can see him. And there he goes. Oh, there's a couple of them. That's why I keep hearing them. There was at least 2 or 3. They just were like scrabbling around. Sorry, easily distracted like squirrel. So there's that. There's setting things up, setting your gardens to be successful and not too much work, because that's a problem. I'm stubborn. And as much as like I get bogged down and I get frustrated and I get tired of all this, just the weeding and all this stupid work, like where like I don't feel like I'm really accomplishing, you know, a whole lot, especially not accomplishing what I want to accomplish. I have a hard time coming out here and doing that, and then it gets frustrating. And this is the kind of stuff that will make people want to quit. Like, this is so much work. I'm always out there. I have hours every day I've got to spend out there just to clean stuff up, and it's because we didn't set it up correctly. Make sure your area is completely covered. Make sure you have some form of whatever works for you. There's so many different options that you can use to cover, you know, cover your soil. You need your soil covered. You can't let the sun beat on it. It'll dry it out. It'll take all the nutrients out. It'll kill all the life, the bio life that's in there. And you need to have that coverage, so it also keeps the moisture in, so that way you don't have to water as often, and your plants are going to have a better shot at staying healthy and not needing as much from you. The other thing I did, like, I didn't set up any kind of watering system. I collect rainwater because we can't even use our well water because we have sulfur and hard water. So it's treated with hydrogen peroxide and salt. So I cannot water my plants with that kind of water. So I have to collect rainwater, and then to water, I have to then fill jugs and then go water what I can with those jugs, and then go back and wait for them to fill again, and rinse and repeat. Just to water the gardens, it takes forever. I didn't put in a watering system. Big mistake. I should have done that. It's on the list of hopefully to get done this year. I don't know if I'll be able to tackle that this year, because that's going to be some expense that I don't know if I can actually take on to be able to get the supplies needed to be able to have an auto filtration. If I could just at least get a hose, like, that'd be fantastic. If I could just get a pump that I can connect to my big water jugs, and then that can funnel the water through and give me good pressure on a hose, that would save a ton of time. So there's things I need to look into that I want to do. I at least need to get a hose set up and get some kind of pump that I can just connect directly to my water collections, and just at least be able to walk through and water with a hose. That would be great. I wouldn't mind that at all. It would be peaceful and enjoyable to do. Gardening and in any aspect, if you're doing something, like, you want to enjoy it, and if you make it so cumbersome on yourself, it's gonna make it harder to stick with it. Now, again, I'm stubborn. I don't want to. I can't fail. Not that I will, not that I won't. Let's put it that way. I make plenty of mistakes, and I definitely have my failures. But at the end of the day, you truly only fail if you've given up. And I refuse to give up no matter what. This is my dream. This is what I want to have happen. So I'm going to make it happen regardless. But I've made it hard on myself. I've made it so difficult. And because I've added so much, I literally could spend all day, if I had no job that I had to go to, I could spend all day taking care of the weeds, trying to take care of the garden and the food forest and the orchard and all this stuff, and it still would probably not be enough time to actually get everything done, because it's just so much. Now, granted, once you get it done, it won't be as bad, but that's serious time invested into growing things when it shouldn't be that hard. You should be able to just have a garden, and you just go out and you check on your plants, you give them some water, you harvest what's ready, and then you go on about your day. It shouldn't be this very time-consuming thing. Especially with, I don't have that much. Like, the gardens itself is not that big of an area. The food forest area is another beast in itself. That's because the fruit trees need a lot of space. But that's different. That's exceptional. That's not everyone has a food forest or an orchard that they're trying to put in. Most people just have a garden and varying sizes. But so that's the other that's one thing that we need to do better at when we are setting ourselves up. We need to think about all the things and make sure that we have them in place to make our lives easier. Think about all the tasks that are going to be required to have said thing, like the garden. All right, we're going to need the water. We need soil. We need mulch. We need like compost to be able to feed the soil again every year. And I could be missing other things, like maybe even shade cloths if you need it, or something. So there might be, you gotta think about every possible thing that could possibly happen and be like, all right, this is what it would take. Let's make sure I have everything in place so that way I save myself the most time. The other thing is, I didn't start composting until maybe last year, maybe 2 years ago. And I'm using what I'm making before it's even ready, which is a problem. it's not good compost. It's not fully broken down, which means it's going to take some of the nitrogen from the soil, from your plants, to fully break down before it's actually usable, like good usable, like that black gold type stuff. So compost. You need to have a compost. It can be small. You just need a compost for what your size needs. Like I have 4, and they're all the way in the back, if you can see them. Can you see them? Where are they? Yeah. Right there. Those 4. I've got 4 compost bins. I built them last year. A couple of them fell apart because I didn't set them up right. And then the 2 other ones on the left, I didn't design well. So I'm going to actually, after I'm done with this video, I'm actually going to go work on my compost bins and restructure them so that way they are better. But I've got one that I'm currently dumping stuff into right now that's kind of falling apart. So I got to restructure that. And then the other 2, I had full. I had filled all the way to the very top with cow manure, with leaves, with table scraps. I mean, I filled it all the way to the top, and I let it sit. And I did that probably in like July, August time. And I let it sit until April, May this year. And then I started spreading it. It wasn't done. It wasn't completely ready. It wasn't completely broken down. I'm putting it into areas like I put it in here in the raised beds here, and I have issues with mushrooms. I have a ton of mushrooms growing in my potato garden because it's all manure that's not fully broken down. So manure is great for mushrooms. So you need to be able to feed your soil. Eventually your soil is going to get depleted after year of putting plants in there that are going to take all the nutrients. You need to be able to refill it. And also compost helps break down soil. Like I've got very thick, heavy clay. So compost will help break down that thick clay and create a very awesome and super healthy environment for your plants and for the wildlife, like the insects and all the tiny organisms to grow and live and thrive, which will then create a very healthy soil for your plants to thrive in. So you need to compost. That's like number one. For however big of a garden area, you want to have a compost area that can every year be able to fill that. So now that might mean you need multiple composts. Like I've got 4 right now. My goal was to add 2 more this year to at least get to 6, and then get them filled. But they're gonna take like a year or 2 to fully break down if you're not doing hot composting. Now I've tried to do hot composting, but it's very hard, especially at this scale that I'm trying to do it, to get the mixture right where it actually composts. Plus you gotta have time to be able to constantly go water it and turn it. And I don't have time. I need things that are, at least for right now, because I'm still in such a build phase. I'm still trying to build everything and get everything set up and put in new stuff and grow and expand what I'm doing, that I don't have time to, constantly have to manage stuff. I need things that I can set and go. So for me, I'm just composting. I'm filling a bin. Once it's full, I then am going to start filling the next bin. So that's how I'm trying to work out my bins. Once I get them relayed out in a much better format. It's taken me a few years, but I think I finally got the perfect way of doing it, and that'll make my life a lot easier. And it's going to be set and go. I'm gonna find a system, whether it be some kind of tags I put out there, and it's going to be like, this is the year that I started it, so I know, all right, leave it for a couple years, let it fully break down. I do have an auger. I haven't done it yet this year. I haven't needed to because I don't have stuff sitting, but like last year I took an auger and just went down and just churned my compost, so that way it was getting airflow, it was getting moisture all the way to the deep core and just mixing everything up. So I did that to help with its speed of hopefully breaking down a little bit faster. So the more work you put into your compost, the quicker it'll be ready. But if you just want to set it and go, you're looking at a couple years before it'll be ready. But then it'll be amazing soil. It'll be awesome for your garden. So you need that, unless you're just going to buy it from the store. To each their own. I don't want to buy anything from the store. 1, because I'm trying to save money. 2, I'm trying to build a farm and make a profit off doing this, which the more money I spend, the more money I have to make just to make a profit. So that is a challenge. So I'm trying to cut every single cost that I possibly can and do as much for myself. But also, I don't want any chemicals. I don't want any fake stuff. I want all natural, completely organic. So I'm doing compost bins, and I probably, for this area, I mean, I probably could use like a dozen compost bins, honestly. I have a lot of growing space. I would like to be able to feed the food forest constantly and the gardens constantly, especially once I add more gardens. Like, I'm not adding any more this year. I'm going to put in some more raised beds, but keeping those simple. I'm trying not to add a lot this year. My main thing I'm trying to do is fix all my previous mistakes of not getting things set up better, so that way I'm not spending forever taking care of what I've already put in. I can do a better job with it. So that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to work on this year, is make my life simpler, because I made the mistakes and I went too far too fast, and I set up things that require so much work now because I didn't do them right. I got them in, I was happy, I was like, all right, on to the next thing, but I didn't take my time to make sure that they had everything that they needed, had all my bases covered. I didn't do any of that, and I'm still kind of doing it a little bit this year, but I'm trying to slow it down. I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to make my life easier, because it's become so much. As you saw, like, my garden area is atrocious. There's weeds growing everywhere. I've got all my buckets and pots and all this other stuff everywhere. That's not even all of it. Like, I still have all my garden containers, my seedling containers. They're just over there. You couldn't see them, but they're just on the other side of the bin there. Those all need to get washed out and cleaned so they're ready for next year. I have so much that I'm trying to do and keep up on, and just trying to manage this space and keeping the weeds down is just, it's killing me. It's taking all of my effort, which means then I can't add the things to make my life easier or expand. Like, every year I got to be expanding. Like, I can't make progress. I can't get to my goals and my dreams if I'm not taking steps forward. So I'm trying to take those steps forward, but at the same time, like, that I'm neglecting other things that need things. So that way it'll save me time in the long run, and then I'll have more time in the future to do the growth. So it's what I'm trying to work on, and I know this was long-winded, but it's a lot to go over in every detail and why it's important to do these things. I could have made a 5-minute video and be like, make sure you compost, make sure you cover your soil, make sure you cover your surrounding areas, and it could have been done in 5 minutes. But it's hard to learn and listen to even people that you trust, to be like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, that'd be nice to do. Yeah, I'll do that. Like, this person said it was a good idea to do those, so yeah, maybe at some point I'll get to those. Well, I'm letting you know, like, if you don't get to them and you don't set these things up correctly, you'll be kicking your own butt, wishing that you had. So these are simple things that we can do that will save us so much time in the long run. Had I had this whole area completely covered in weed fabric and brought stones in to decorate, the weeds wouldn't be so bad. It would take me no time at all to come out here and manage and keep the weed down, so that way I wouldn't be losing all this time. But I didn't do that. So I want you to learn from my mistakes, and I wanted to explain the pain the pain and the frustration that you will feel if you don't listen to me. And I even if I saw someone explaining it to this detail, how much frustration, how much you're going to set yourself up to have things go wrong, who knows? I still might not listen. So I don't blame anyone that doesn't listen to this warning, but please do. Please save yourself the time, the frustration, the aggravation, and set your stuff up correctly so you don't have this issue. Set it up, get it completely done 100% for what it needs before you move on to the next thing. And I didn't realize this would be an issue. I was a brand new gardener, so that's also part of it. Never gardened before. I didn't realize how much weeds were an issue. I just mowed this area before we started gardening. I just mowed it. No big deal. You just run it over the mower. Weeds grow, you mow them too. So it's not a big deal. No issues there at all. Everything was great. But now that I know I'm a gardener, I'm a few years into this now, I'm seeing what this is like, and it is awful. We started gardening in 2022. Yeah, 2022. We're going into my 4th year gardening, and I'm still learning stuff, and I'm sure in 14 years I'll still be learning stuff. That's what's so exciting, what's so fascinating and so just addicting to gardening, is there's so much to learn, there's so much to do. There's so many little tricks and things that you could do that would just slightly improve your plants. You know, to garden is pretty simple to at least do basics to get basic results, but there's so much science to it and so much to learn where you can really just slowly increase your what you get, your output. Your plants are just slightly bigger than they would have been 5 years ago because of the things you've learned. Now that space, that's maximizing your space, so that way the other space that you might have will be able to do something else instead of having to grow an extra plant to make up for the difference from your plants not quite being as big as they could have been had you been like an expert. So that's my long-winded spiel about things to definitely take care of and make sure you do right when it comes to gardening. I wish I had known this. I wish I'd set these up better. It would have saved me so much time and, again, frustration. And for me, at least I'm keep going, but for some people, maybe this would have been a deal breaker for them, and they'd be like, you know what, this just isn't worth it. I'm just going to go to the grocery store or go to a food market and just pick up what they want there. You know, so I don't want that. I don't want this kind of issue to be someone's end. I want someone to be able to realize and set their stuff up correctly. So first-time gardeners, this is for you. Learn from my mistakes and learn from my pain and struggle so you can do better. You can have a much easier time at it and be able to enjoy your garden much more. Right now I don't get to enjoy mine as much because I'm constantly doing a lot of work to it, trying to keep up with the mess, the nightmare that has become my life. But one day I'll get there and I'll be able to enjoy every second of being in the garden. I don't mind picking a few weeds here and there. That's relaxing. It's very therapeutic. But when it's looking like this mess that I showed you guys, that's not therapeutic. That is anxiety driving just through the roof nonsense. So learn from me, please. Take this lesson and learn from it, please. I will catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped you if you're a new-time gardener. I wish I had known this stuff. It would have made a world of a difference. This will save you so much time and aggravation and really set yourself up for success. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel. I greatly appreciate it. And please hit that subscribe if this has helped you in any kind of way. This journey I'm just really getting started, and where it's going to go from here in the next 5-10 years, it's going to be insane. So you'll want to tag along. You'll want to watch. I will talk to you guys next time. Keep the imagination rolling. Bye-bye.